Hi there, everyone. It's Ifti from Extreme Returns. Today, we're going to cover a very interesting article about some things you don't often hear from financial analysts, and that's saying they don't know all the answers. But before we do that, my name is 𝙋𝙧𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙀𝙐𝙤. I've been on the Etoro platform for over a year, but under Extreme Returns for only a few months. I am by background a chartered management accountant, worked for Unilever and Mars. I've done recruitment consultancy and headhunting, set up my own successful estate agency, and done car-to-car, peer-to-peer car hire on the Toro and the Get Around platforms. I've made this fun cartoon about myself. Just type in my story, 𝙋𝙧𝙤𝙤𝙤. If you want to watch this interview, they featured me on the BBC. I have been on the Independent and Evening Standard Motoring News. I've got my own website, YouTube channel. Here we go, called Extreme Returns. Do consider subscribing. In terms of the returns, we're at 13%. We're on the 15th of March. Excuse me. US markets have not opened yet. That's enough about me. One of my favorite writers is Ben Carlson. Now, he's been reading Bill Bryson's The Short History of Nearly Everything. I've got that book and I started reading it. It's quite interesting. But what he says in the background to that is, did you know how big the universe is? The visible universe is 1 million miles across. That's one with 24 zeros. That includes 140 billion galaxies. And that's just what we know. It's estimated the universe at large, or the meta-universe, spans one with millions of zeros after it, light years away. So he then leads on to saying something like, saying this: it's fairly remarkable to think that Ford has been building cars and Nobel committees awarding prizes for longer than we have known that the Earth has a core. And of course, the idea that the continents move about on the surface like lily pads has been common wisdom for much less than a generation. And he's been comparing that to the market and saying, are retail traders here to stay? The surge in retail trading volume is nuts, and it accounts for almost half the volume as mutual funds and hedge funds combined. And he's got a chart here that shows that. So this is retail trading taking off, and it's becoming bigger and bigger. And the other thing is, are we all going to live our lives online now? Ready Player One was a great book, but it's also kind of depressing. It was this dystopian future where everyone basically lives online. Feels like that, doesn't it? And are faster corrections here to stay? Last year, the S&P had its fastest 30% plus bear market from all-time highs in history. The NASDAQ just experienced one of its fastest corrections in history in recent weeks. These losses were followed up with violent snapback rallies. Is this the world investors are going to be living in for a while or forever? Technology is speeding up cycles in everything, he says. What if faster markets to the upside and the downside are now a feature of an interconnected world? And what if we don't get inflation? He says, I know inflation is really 10% per year, and I'm blind to this fact, but what if we don't see runaway inflation like all of the newsletter people have been predicting since the end of the 1970s? What if all of this government spending only shows up in certain areas like vacations, concerts, and restaurants? If you think 1.9 trillion is a huge price tag, just wait to see what happens during the next recession. Can the stock market crash during an economic boom? Fantastic question. This is the big worry from the potential for rising inflation rates. What if we overdid it? But then he says, has it happened before? So interestingly, he goes on to look at the difference between growth and value. He says, now that it looks like we're in the midst of a huge economic recovery with more government spending on the way, it would make sense that value stocks should outperform growth stocks at least for a while. But how can you possibly bet against tech stocks right now when it appears these companies are taking over the world? And he talks about how he's discussed it. So a lot of interesting food for thought there. And I think in answer to that question, firstly, a market crash can happen during an economic boom. We've got to be wary of that, which is why some of the stocks I've got in my portfolio are not just the American US companies, but Kering, for example, Moncler, Ferrari. We've also got ASOS and Zalando and B&M. So it may well happen. And I'm prepared for that. Now, the other thing is, I think there's going to be a lot of pullbacks and corrections and snapbacks, whatever way you want to look at it. Another interesting article I came across, this is in Seeking Alpha this time, is could Bitcoin and other cryptos be banned in the US? Now, you'd think, no, they can't be, but they are a threat to central governments the world over. And this talks about India passing a law to ban Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And it's not the first country to do that. China, Pakistan, Russia, Bolivia, North Macedonia, and Morocco have all tried. And did you know that many Americans were unaware that it was illegal to own gold from 1934 to 1974? Because prohibitions were relaxed, but it was still illegal to own gold. Amazing. So a lot of food for thought there, a lot of things going on in the world. One final thing I just wanted to come across, take you across rather, is this really interesting article I put in my feed. It's by Dr. Talal Mofkadi, who is an eToro expert. So he talks about the roller coaster of emotion. I'm going to run out of my 5 minutes, but I'm going to go through this anyway. Says here, I see a trend. I should watch this market. Thankfully, I didn't wait to buy. If I wait any longer, I'll not be in profit. Then it goes down. And it says, as the markets are going down and crashing, here are all of the different emotions a person goes through. And they say people always end up buying at the top and selling at the bottom, and then it corrects again. And we go into that emotional roller coaster again and again. Okay, that's enough for me. Final plug. My wife, Adiba, has got Asian Tigers. I think this is the only account on eToro under the Popular Investor Program. I stand corrected, that invests purely in developed Asia. Have a look at it. And then there's my son, who's a junior doctor, Muhammad. Now, he is investing in only companies that make the world a better place. His stats are fantastic. Have a look at it. Copy me, copy her, copy him, but copy us. Thank you very much. This is Iftiuddin. Take care. Love you all.